welcome to the Mission Podcast. I'm your show host, Brian Butler, and I'm honored to have with me today an all-around Renaissance man. I mean, this man is a coach. He is a teacher. He is the president of the Fort Worth Young Warriors AAU Club. He teaches at Fort Worth Country Day and also is a coach there as well. And in the little bit of spare time the man has, he is a tutor at Texas Christian University for the athletes in the athletic department. Man, it wears me down just saying it, brother. How are you, Brian? Welcome to the Mission.
I'm good. How you doing, Brian? How you doing?
Man, I am great. I'm great and blessed by the Most High. Thank you for joining me today.
I'm blessed to be here. Blessed to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, Ryan, I wanted to have you on the show because of all the wonderful things that I see you're doing in the community with our youth. And it starts with your Fort Worth Young Warriors basketball club and the leadership you've been providing them for years. You can do a better job of speaking to all the things you're doing. Let my audience know exactly what it is you do there and how you got involved.
Well, I've been doing this for about 6 years. I started in 2017, the summer of 2017. I started with the YMCA, with just coaching, volunteer coaching. My buddy put a bug in my ear and he was like, hey, let's do the whole thing with, coaching AAU basketball. Really wasn't a big fan of it at first. But I saw what, it meant for kids to do something, more than the YMCA in terms of a competitive standpoint, but also it kept them busy year round. And me loving the game of basketball, me loving the coach, being around kids, I decided, okay, I'll be able to, take part of that. And then started about 8 kids and, didn't really think much of it. Didn't think, I would still be doing it. But here we are about 5.5, 6 years later, still doing it. We kind of expanded from just having group of boys to having both boys and girls. We do stuff year round. We do stuff in the fall, spring, summer, winter. We do camps. We host tournaments. We host clinics. We host leagues. We play in tournaments. We play in leagues. We send kids to camps. We just do a whole lot of different things.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. One of the things I like about your organization is if you don't have, if a viewer's watching right now and you don't have a kid who's involved in athletics and AAU, it is expensive. It is an expensive endeavor. And the thing I like about your program is you aim to make it affordable for all kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I know that it can be costly because I can charge, thousands of dollars for it. I've seen it done before. I see it done now, but I can never do it from a personal standpoint. I'm a volunteer. Everyone's like, Coach, how much you get paid for this? And I was like, I'm not paid to be here. And all of our coaches, they're all volunteers. So whether it's, traveling out of state, whether it's any of that stuff, it's either out of pocket or someone's donating generously to help us out. And so we do what we can to keep costs low. We do a lot of fundraising through the year, whether it's hand-to-hand fundraising or some big, planned out fundraiser. But, we do what we can. It's hard because of inflation now, because everything's higher. Gym costs higher. Tournaments cost more. Everything just costs a little bit more. But we're still able to make it affordable because we don't want to leave anybody behind. I got this kind of mentality. You don't want to leave the kid on the street who doesn't have the opportunity to play, and he can only play if it costs this much out there hanging. Just because you can't afford to play, I want to make it to where you're able to play. And so whatever I got to do to make that happen, I'll work with the numbers, get some fundraising done, and make it happen.
I love that. And you're changing lives because, like you said, if a kid isn't able to play and wants to play, then he probably will be, and I don't cast aspersions, but more than likely maybe hanging out in the streets, hanging out after school, not busy.
Yeah.
And you're keeping them busy.
Yeah, busy. Like I said, we play year round, and kids hit me up. Like I know kids out there with, what they would be doing, and they have told me, what they would be doing. And I've had conversation with kids, like I'm trying to keep you in the gym, keep you from being out there. And it's been a pretty much, effective process because you're trying to motivate kids to show them that there's something more you know, and even if you don't end up being a college basketball player, which only 1%, 2% of all athletes across the country, you know, end up doing, it at least understand like I need to go to school in order to
Yes.
play on the school basketball team. And then by
Yes.
going to school, I got to keep my grades up. If I keep my grades up, I can end up going to trade school. I can end up going to college. I can end up just go getting a job that's not, you know, that's productive. I don't know what job it is, but at least it's not out there getting in trouble and ending up somewhere you don't want to end up.
Yeah. Man, that's powerful. And you spoke to so many things there. You know, getting kids out of the environment, showing them that there's something different.
Yeah.
And every kid doesn't have to aspire to play in college to get the benefit of high school sports or junior high school sports or grade sports.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I said, some people have a false notion of just because I play AAU that, you know, I'm going to end up getting to that level. Just because I play in a big tournament, I'm going to end up getting that level. Just because scouts are there, I'm going to end up getting signed. That's not how it works. You know, it's this. I use the word exposure as a measurement stick, not because you're getting exposed to these college scouts. You're getting exposed to say, hey, this is where I am. This is where I need to be. This is where I am. This is how hard I have to work. And it might not be for me. It might not be something I want to do long term. And even with young kids nowadays, there's a notion of if I play in these big tournaments, you know, do all this stuff, you know, I'm going to get the necessary exposure. And then for me, it's hard. You know, people don't understand there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people with that same kind of dream. And your goal has to be pivoted to where, what if I don't make it? What if it's not something that I'm meant to do? And it's okay. But at least I have the tools to say, hey, I've worked hard. I've done this. I've done this. In basketball, that means I can do this at my job. I can do this in college and that kind of stuff.
Yes. Translate into real world activities, teaching them
Exactly.
hard work,
Yes.
grit,
Yes.
dedication, leadership
Commitment
skills.
is a big
Yes.
thing. Commitment.
Yes,
Kids
sir.
got to learn to be committed, in my opinion.
That's a fact. And let's not skip over the fact too that a lot of your kids that you have on your team are from economically challenged areas, areas that are challenged as far as a crime is concerned, as far as all types of things negatively are concerned, and you're able to get those kids to see something else and get out of that environment and get involved in a team sport. So that's a double win, in my opinion, for you and for what you're doing.
I mean, that's what we really try to. Which I think when I first started, you know, we had a group of kids, our core group of kids, were just a group of kids from the YMCA, and you looked at it, you're like, oh, they're just a group of kids, you know, and it kind of molded into, I got a group of kids that are from this area and a group of kids that are from this area, and you're bridging the gap, pretty much. You're giving one area a taste of what it's like in this area, and vice versa. I actually had a mom come up to me a couple of years ago. Her son attended a private school. There was no one of any diversity at her son's school.
Wow.
And she came up to me, and her kid wasn't the best basketball player. And the biggest reason why they stuck with it, is that, and both parents were defensive attorneys as well. So they understood diversity just a little bit more based on their clientele, but they weren't really immersed in it. They just had the knowledge. Their son playing with us, he was exposed to things that he had never really been exposed to. And she thanked me for allowing him to participate, because he got to be around kids and be immersed and around certain things that he had never, ever been exposed to in his whole life. And he was 13, 14 years old. And it's almost like, and on the flip side of that, we have kids that now, since I'm at a private school, we worked at a private school, we've had kids able to come up to our gym and use the gym and just be exposed to, whoa, this is good. Like, this is something that I want to strive for. Like, maybe there is more for me than where I am, and so I can, go to college, and maybe I can get a job and my kids can end up going to a private school, maybe, that kind of thing, mentality, it flips a switch,
Yeah. exposure. You use the word great. You said exposure.
Exposure, yeah.
And that covers
Yes.
everything. It
Yeah,
covers from both sides of the coin. You just talked about
yeah,
affluent people who don't have a bunch of affluent people who don't have much uh, um, experience with diversity,
yeah,
being able
yeah,
to be exposed to that, and then
yeah,
people in a certain community not having a lot of experience with affluency and being able to be
yeah,
exposed to that.
yeah.
The key is, if you don't know something's out there, you don't know you don't know that you can be it and you can do it.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly. And if you stay in the same bubble, you're only going to have that bubble, and you got to get people out of their bubbles on both sides of the spectrum, to make say like, because a lot of people, it's one of those things where I can hang with the same people all the time and only be around these people my whole life, and I don't know anything else. And so when there's any kind of political conversations or those kind of conversations arise, I don't have any other resource. I don't have any other exposure, anything else. So my view is going to be my view based on where I'm from. And so if you're able to, bridge the gap that way through the basketball, then it's really beneficial to a lot of people, coaches, players, parents, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. They say we only can respond to the responses that are available to us, to what we know.
Yeah. Correct.
And
yeah.
when you expand what people know, they have more responses. They have more ways that they can respond to things. And
yeah.
It sounds like that's what you're doing. So when I was, kind of a little bit more involved with the program, it was mostly boys, but you also have a girls side of the program and girls teams as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, our first year was just boys. And then Coach Victoria, who I was friends with for a long time, we met, as camp counselors. She moved to Texas, and then I was like, hey, let's get a girls' side going, and I was a little bit motivated by, Kobe Bryant, who is one of my favorite athletes of all time. He was coaching his daughter's team, and I was like, I want to, get girls, involved as well. And I want to be, pushed in to play basketball, teach them the game of basketball too. And so that's what's really been past 4.5 years now. We've had girls, from 8-year-old all the way up to high school. And last night we had our girls coach versus our girl player games. And it was really cool to see, man, like these female athletes that's out here just hooping, man, like on both sides, coaches and players. It's really good time. Really good time.
I love that, and that's really special, man. And the thing is, I can hear in your voice and in your animation how deep you feel about it, and what you're doing and changing and the impact you're having on kids. I mean, hey, so the other part of sports that I love, and the other part of what you're doing, is giving kids the opportunity to just exercise.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids aren't exercising nowadays. Going outside and playing, that's a thing of the past.
Yeah.
And if they're not, I feel like if they're not in a sport, they kind of veer off from getting exercise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just kind of go home. Hey, I got some stats here. And I'm gonna read these to you. I'm gonna read these to you. 1 in 5 American kids is obese. Kids spend about 5 hours a day playing video games and on social media, which there's a correlation there that they're not being active, which in turn is putting unhealthy weight on them. So that's why I love that you have these programs and getting these kids involved and getting them exercising. That's a big part of it.
And that's what we do, exercise them, and we do. I understand, like that's why I said we take kids from all skill levels, and we allow participation from all skill levels and all ages for that reason. Because I don't want a kid sitting at home playing video games all day. I know some parents don't want it either, and they understand. Like, my kid may not be the best athlete, but at least my kid's in here working out and exercising. And I see that. I see a lot of kids, parents on their kids, especially 9, 10, 11-year-old kids, for the purpose of just exercising.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's part of, you got a two or three camps of kids. Some kids that are there and they're on the mission to get scholarships, and they're on the mission, they want to play at the next level. Then you got kids that are just there that they want to be camaraderie. Let's not even forget about, we talking about the team aspect and environment, changing environment, showing kids different things,
Yeah.
exercise. But let's talk
Yeah.
about even learning how to communicate with people, learning how to be
Yeah.
around people, interact
Mm-hmm.
with people,
Social skills. Yeah.
social
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
gaining that through your program.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it really is like you're talking to people. You got to be interact. You got to communicate with people. You got to be around other people. Got to work with other people. When we go to tournaments, you're hanging out with your teammates. When we went to Oklahoma, we made kids get roommates, and we went out that night, both nights as a team, out
Yeah,
to eat as a team,
it's
both
awesome.
nights. Cause
Yep.
yeah, so
You grow, the way you grow is to get out of your comfort zone.
oh yeah, amen, amen,
And
amen.
it sounds like that's what you're doing, is pushing kids to get out. And kids are just like, they're many little us's, right? Because
Yeah.
we're in comfort zones. Most times at your job or whatever, you're not going to even move out of your comfort zone unless somebody's pushing and nudging you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Correct.
So
Correct.
yeah,
That's so
yeah.
true.
Before we go, I'm going to ask you,
Yes, sir.
this is the opportunity. Why should parents allow their kids or bring their kids to your program?
The answer is simple, and it's the heart of the matter. It's the why. And I've always, everything that I do is, why do you do anything? And my biggest thing is it's all about trying to be a light. Our coaches are trying to be lights into people. We get paid to do this on the side. Like, a lot of our coaches are already coaches, and they don't expect anything in return from me. So then, what did they get from it? Why are they doing this? I'm not paying them to be there. They're not getting anything out of it from a financial situation, and it's time consuming, and you're in a gym every weekend. And so what is the why? And the why is, number one is it's the kids. We do it for the kids. We sacrifice for the kids because we want the kids to be better, not just better basketball players, but better people. And we want them to, when they leave our program, whether they stay with our program one season or multiple seasons, to take something with them that's not just about basketball. And if you're around us enough, you're going to hear a lot about Jesus. We got coaches that pray before games. We got coaches that, will not play on certain days, on Sundays, because they got to go preach, at their church. And if you don't hear about Jesus, you're going to see Jesus through what we do, through our actions, being gracious and merciful. And, there've been kids that they cuss, and I pull them aside, like, you don't hear me cuss. Why are you cussing? Like, you got to be. So we're just trying to be something that they can look on and reflect upon and say, yeah, I'm not perfect. We're going to fail. And I know you're going to fail, but no matter what, we love you. I mean, I tell my kids at the games, hey, I love you guys. You're never going to disappoint me because you lose a basketball game. You're never going to let me down. I'm here for you. And basically, we tell all of our kids beginning the season, it's not about what you can do for me. It's not about the wins. It's not about you giving me rings. It's not about you giving me clout on social media. None of that stuff. It's all about what we can do for you. And if the true heart, if the true meaning behind it is true, you will see it in our actions and in what we do. So we won't just say it and tell you, now that you will see it in what we do. And that, some people don't really like the outcomes. They don't really care for anything like that, because winning is everything and all that stuff. And we like to win on our end, but at the same time, like, it's not everything to us to just win a game.
Love it. I love everything you said. Hey, share your socials. People want to
I
find the
you
Young
can
Warriors
go
team.
you can see our updates. I update it pretty regularly, bi-weekly. www.facebook.com/YW Hoops. You can follow us on Instagram at FTWY Warriors. You can go to our website, www.fortworthyoungwarriors.org, and you can see all about it. You can just Google Fort Worth Young Warriors, and all of our stuff, pops up. I don't really tweet too much, but you can follow us on Twitter too at 817 Warriors. And so we're out there on Twitter, Twitterverse, Instagram. Facebook is really where we do stuff. Facebook, Instagram. post a lot of photos, updates on our season. We got fall season coming up.
Well, folks, I was honored to have Ryan on the show today. Hey, hit this gentleman up if you got a kid that needs to learn, social skills, that needs to have a different environment, to get athletic, to exercise. There's going to be around great people and great leaders. Him and his team of coaches, that's who you need to go to. Hey, Obsessed with the Mission. Welcome to the Mission Podcast. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.